What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing round 8. It's Port Adelaide versus Essendon this Sunday at 12:40 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. It's going to be a massive game, especially between two sides that are pretty much fighting for a top 8 spot. Port Adelaide sitting comfortably in 5th at the moment, and Essendon sitting 9th. They've had a pretty even start to the year for the Bombers, obviously going down last week to the Cats by 8 points, I'm pretty sure it was, and also Port Adelaide getting the job done over St Kilda at Marvel by 7 points. This week's a massive game. It's round 8, and this is one of those games that is all or nothing, I think, for Port Adelaide in terms of the run we've had. 4 wins on the trot against the Bombers outfit that's going to be very, very plucky when it comes to wanting to resurrect their season after a couple of bad losses. I can't believe it's already round 8, to be honest. It's quite an interesting period of time now. You're sitting here, there's still 16 rounds to go. You're just not sure where your team sits. You're just in no man's land. And it's kind of like, well, you just want to win every game you can. This week, essentially, for me, as a supporter, has been soaking it all in. You know, we're 5-2. Port Adelaide in a great spot. Essendon are in a pretty good stead as well. They're in good form. I'm obviously playing Collingwood and Geelong within a 7-day period. You know, they played Anzac Day on the Tuesday and then came back and played Geelong on the Sunday, and now they got a week break, and so did Port with an 8-day break after playing St Kilda. So they're going to be two fresh sides coming into this week's game, and I really feel like this week in particular, it 5 wins on the trot for Port Adelaide very much stamps a statement of, yep, you know what, we are legitimate. We're going to be a team that's going to be around the mark, and we're going to be playing some decent footy to try and continue that. And I think against Essendon at home, it's a very valid point. It's a very good point to make when essentially you've come off a big win against St Kilda. Essendon have come off a decent loss to the Cats. So essentially you're going to find out exactly who is where with this one. And I feel like Port Adelaide's momentum could be the detrimental factor into what comes through. So hopefully that is the case. But let's have a look and see exactly how these teams have matched up over the years. They've been played 35 times in the 26-year history that Port Adelaide have been in the AFL. Port Adelaide have won 21 and the Bombers have won 14. So a good ledger. Port Adelaide have won the last 5 against the Dons. The last time Essendon did beat Port Adelaide was, I think it was that dreadful game at Marvel, if I remember correctly, but I don't want to remember that too much. Actually, no, I lie. It was the last game of 2018 where we lost by 30 points. That wasn't a great game, and that wasn't a great year. That's PTSD that year, where we were 11-4 and didn't making the finals. So the key points for this game: Essendon are obviously a very high-scoring team. Port Adelaide have been very hit and miss when it comes to offense. Their defense has very much turned it around. And I think this week again, it's going to be a Port Adelaide game that has to be defensively structured sound. I think with this kind of performance, you know, they've got some key pillars down there that could really make a difference. Obviously, Jake Stringer's a star when it comes to in front of goal. Sam Wiedemann's been a great touch. You know, they have Tipper who could pounce at any stage, and you know, they have key stalwarts down there that could perform. And yeah, they can be hit and miss, but they have a very evenly covered team when it comes to scoring goals. So it'll be interesting to see how we match up. I know we'll get Tom Jonas back from suspension. Whether or not he comes into the side, I'm not exactly sure. I wouldn't be dropping too much from our back line, and if anyone drops Dylan Williams, I'm going to slap him in the face, because that would be a terrible call after the game he played last week. I think Ryan Burton's been pretty sound. Houston was fantastic. Alirali has obviously been fantastic as well. Trent McKenzie being good. You know, there's players down there that have really just stood up in the moment and really you know, fought for their spot and made their spot known. Jace Burgoyne even last week had some good patches. So chopping and changing has been one of Port Adelaide's selection issues of late, and that's due to injury or due to form. And I think with Jonas, yes, you bring back your captain when he's available, but gee, you'd really, really like to see some consistency down there. And against a Bombers outfit that is very quick, they can score very quickly. I think keeping a quick defensive unit might be the difference. And playing that one-on-one footy, I think Miles Bergman as well will probably push up to the wing with Dersma coming out. Whether or not you bring in a Josh Sin or you bring in a Jackson Mead. I know Meady played on the wing last week against West Adelaide in Loxton for the Russell Ebert Memorial match, which was, by the way, absolutely fantastic. And great to see Port Adelaide got the win there. I think Jackson Lee played as a wingman. He had 14, 15 touches, kicked a couple of goals, had many opportunities, and really looked the goods. So he could possibly come in and play as a wing. Josh Sin would be, as I said, would probably be a good shout as well. I think obviously Dersma coming out, Riley Bonner might stay in the side, which I hope not. He wasn't great last week, but hey, you just obviously got to make the decisions as they come. And what we've got at the moment, I know Todd Marshall definitely comes back in. So I do think Ollie Lord goes out, unfortunately. But he didn't really make a big impact last week against St Kilda. So it's probably fair play to say that he had a good game against West Coast. Didn't look great against St Kilda. And when your key pillar and Todd Marshall comes back in, it's just a learning curve for Ollie to go back and really see what you can produce and continue to learn, because he's going to be a regular fitter when it comes to in a couple of years' time, Ollie. So keep backing himself in. I think he's going to do a great job. But I think Todd Marshall definitely comes back in. And I just think overall the selection process for this one is simply replace what we need to. Bring back Todd Marshall. That's it. Don't do too many structural changes. I know players had good games in the SANFL last week, but overall, you don't want to really continually mess with the team and give people 1 week in, 1 week out and really mess up their consistency or attempted consistency in their game. So, yeah, selection, a bit of a headache when so many players are actually in good nick, but I wouldn't be making too much besides the Dersma forced change and Todd Marshall coming back in. So for Essendon, I did mention Stringer, Wiedemann up forward. You know, they're obviously going to have a very good back line, and obviously their midfield, Merritt, Shield, Martin's been fantastic as well. And I think, you know, the likes of Langford have been very serviceable up front, Redmond down back. And, you know, their defensive unit is quite young. I mean, Ridley, Zerk Thatcher, there is players there, I think, you know, that could be exploited, and we saw that with Tom Hawkins last week. It's a game that Charlie Dixon or Todd Marshall coming back in can really impact. Jeremy Finlayson as well. Teakle even against the Ruckman and Draper. I think that's a pretty even matchup in terms of, you know, how they move and how they play and their rucking type. I think Draper is very much more of a dangerous Ruckman at this stage, obviously, but you know, I think Teakle's got a massive task, and definitely if he wants to have an impact in this one, you know, you got to have a good game and take out defensively what Draper can do, and he obviously hits the scoreboard. So if you can counteract that with Teagle hitting the scoreboard as well, then fantastic. You know, we're just going to match them in that area. On our midfield as well, Horn Francis, Rosie, Butters, Boak, Drew. You know, these players in there can do the fantastic job they need to. And obviously, you know, when it comes to performing, especially at the Adelaide Oval, like you want to make this a fortress. We have lost one game there this year, and that was the showdown. It was a home showdown. Otherwise, you know, we haven't really looked too faultless in our game. I think overall, you want to make some sort of a statement this week, and you know, whether it's shutting down Essendon completely, winning a grinding win again, it's completely up to Port Adelaide, and it's that mindset of continuing the momentum, not getting ahead of ourselves, which I don't think we have in the 4 wins that we've had on the trot. You know, we've had very different wins in each one. You know, the grinding win against the Dogs in the wet, coming back. Sydney win where we came back out of nowhere and won in the last couple of seconds. You know, the West Coast win was a rollover, casual win, and St Kilda was another hard-fought victory where we actually looked really, really good and competitive. So another Essendon, you know, they're as our opponent. Obviously, Essendon will be looking to bounce back, but overall, I really feel like this game sets us up. You know, North Melbourne, then Melbourne. You know, it's just hello. You know, tick over the wins, and then you see what happens. Well, Port fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below for this week's game. It's going to be a massive one. Sunday, early, 12:40. But look forward to seeing a big crowd there. It's going to be absolutely amazing to be back at the Adelaide Oval, and yeah, hopefully we get the job done. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide AFL and content to come your way. I've stuffed that up completely, but I don't care. Look out for the Glass Table. Episode 9 is obviously out, and episode 10 next week as well. So make sure you jump on the socials, follow everyone there, and yeah, thank you so much for watching once again. My name's Anthony, and as always, come there.